Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. On behalf of the News First, the voice of the people, I am Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
3 million Sinopharm vaccines to arrive in Sri Lanka this month. Expected mothers to be inoculated with the COVID-19 vaccine from today. Victoria Reservoir faced with a plastic crisis. Extreme weather claims the lives of 21 in Sri Lanka.
Now those stories in detail. Junior staff of main hospitals across the island abstained from carrying out their duties today.
General Secretary of the Joint Health Services Union, Venerable Tampitiye Sugathananda Thero, said that the trade union action, which commenced at 8 a.m. today, will be in effect until 12 noon. The trade union action will not take place at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, the Castle Street Hospital for Women, Apeksha Hospital in Maharagama, and the Batticaloa and Trincomalee District Hospitals. Several demands have been cited as reasons for the strike, including making additional staff permanent. Junior staff of the Ragama Teaching Hospital also engaged in a trade union action. It had been organized by the Joint Health Services Union. The staff had a number of demands, including not granting transfers, failing to make employees permanent, non-payment of transport fees, and other demands. The junior staff of the Kegalle General Hospital are also supporting the trade union action. Junior staff of the Kaluthara Nagoda General Hospital are also engaged in the trade union action.
An aircraft carrying 1 million doses of the Sinopharm vaccine landed at the Bandaranaike International Airport today. The vaccines are part of an order placed by Sri Lanka for the jabs.
Presidential advisor Lalit Wiratunga said that Sri Lanka is due to receive 3 million vaccine doses this month. He noted that between 65 and 70% of the eligible population for the vaccine will receive the jab before the end of this year. Meanwhile, the inoculation of expectant mothers began in Piliyandala today. Dr. Chitramali De Silva, the director of the Health Ministry's Family Health Bureau, said that vaccines are administered among expectant mothers with their consent. She said the Health Ministry had decided to inoculate expectant mothers after some had died upon contracting the COVID-19 infection. The Ministry of Health has called for a report from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura within those who have been inoculated with anti-COVID-19 vaccines. Professor Neelika Malavige is expected to compile the report. The report will be compiled once experts have ascertained the duration required for antibodies to produce within a person. The Ministry of Health also expects to learn the manner in which antibodies develop once a person has been inoculated. Reports have been called on all brands of anti-COVID-19 vaccines which are being administered in the country at present. Sri Lanka's populace has been inoculated with the AstraZeneca, Sinopharm and Sputnik vaccines by now.
Journalists questioned Ports and Shipping Minister Rohita Gunawardena on whether Sri Lanka would receive compensation for the damages caused due to the fire on the Express Pearl vessel.
A portion of the vessel has sunk. We are fulfilling our responsibility as the government. We will obtain compensation for the damage caused, including to the environment. This would be done by consulting the Justice Ministry, Attorney General and experts on the subject. We will obtain the opinion of international legal experts as well. We will prioritize the fishing communities. Fishermen and fishmongers have been badly affected due to this incident. We will provide compensation to all of them. We are not aware of the data recorded in the vessel. The CID is currently proceeding with a court case on this. However, the Harbour Master of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and the control tower receive all emails pertaining to the entry of vessels. We have made our submissions based on that. They informed us about a leak in a container only when the vessel was in the outer harbour. That's when we took necessary steps. Therefore, we will submit the data that we have to the CID and courts. We will then obtain compensation based on that.
කොරෝනා කාලේ මේවද ප්‍රමුඛතාවය නෙමෙයි ආණ්ඩුවක් ඉදිරිය කරන්න ඕන දේවල්ද
අපි ප්‍රමුඛතාවය දීලා තියෙන්නේ මේ ලෝකෙම අද අසරණ තත්ත්වය.
We have prioritized the elimination of the COVID-19 pandemic that has affected all parts of the world. We have placed an order for 32 million vaccines. We have administered 2 million vaccines among the people. There are 14.5 million people above the age of 20 in our country. We will take steps to administer the vaccine to these 14.5 million people by the end of this year. However, we will have to live with this pandemic. The government needs to focus on development and economic activities. COVID-19 is our priority, but development and other economic activities will also be carried out.
රටේ ආර්ථිකය ගෙනියන වැඩ පිළිවෙලත් අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
Minister Rohit Abe-Gunawardena expressed these views to the media during an inspection tour of stalls that are being constructed at the Goldface Green in Colombo.
Let's now take a look at some of the views expressed by former provincial councillor Nalin Hevage.
The government is selling off national resources to China or foreign companies. They are setting foot on mega development projects. This includes the construction of the highway from Kalaniya to Aturugiriya at a cost of 135 billion. It is China Harbour Engineering Corporation that is involved in this project. We know that this company and the government have close ties. Therefore, we saw that the government cancelled several agreements with Japan that had low interest rates. They then handed over contracts to China Harbour Engineering Corporation that is linked to fraud and corruption. Minister Johnston Fernandez said it is the port city that benefits most out of this. This places the country in debt while paving the way for their henchmen involved in money laundering at the port city to reap benefits. Therefore, this doesn't benefit the country.
Mount Lavinia police have arrested a 35-year-old suspect for being involved in the trafficking of a 15-year-old girl. Police spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana told Newsfirst that the suspect had detained the girl at a house in Mount Lavinia and had published her photographs on the internet. The 15-year-old girl is a resident of Delgoda. Police have also recorded a statement from the mother of the victim. The Moratuwa Magistrates Court yesterday ordered the suspect to be remanded until the 8th of June. The police are conducting further investigations to trace the individuals involved in the receipt of the 15-year-old girl. Sri Lanka has been historically renowned for its agricultural prowess. Farmers toil hard to deliver a bountiful harvest for our populace. But the woes of the farmers have been compounded further by an acute shortage of fertilizer.
Farmers in Serunuwara, Neelapola, Dehiwata, Mahindapura areas, which fall under the Ella farming community, are facing a scarcity of fertilizer. Fields which once glowed with harvests are full of weed today. Although these farmers had cultivated their crops after obtaining debt, they do not owe anything to this country. These farmers who continue to feed the country are now suffering due to the shortage of fertilizer.
Today is day 3 of the Sri Lanka Investment Forum 2021. Speaking at the forum today, State Minister of Money and Capital Market Ajit Nibot Cabral spoke on the economic cost of imposing lockdowns.
Economies are not designed for locking down. Economies are designed for continuous progress. There is no way that you can stop and restart. When you stop and restart, it would mean there is a massive loss that you have to suffer. Someone has to suffer that loss. In the last 1.5 years, Sri Lanka invested or spent 131 billion rupees on COVID management and COVID control. We had to give moratoriums to the borrowers, which was in the range of about 4,000 billion. A period of 1 year was provided for them to pay back those loans. That was about 30% or 33% of the total loan portfolio of the country. That was provided in order to ensure that Sri Lanka's business sectors won't suffer the lockdowns as well as those other difficulties that people encounter when you have a situation of that nature.
Sri Lanka's death toll due to the inclement weather has now risen to 21. Official figures indicate that 5 injuries have been reported so far. The Disaster Management Centre says that 172,132 individuals have been affected across 10 districts.
The Kirkills area in Valimada is experiencing heavy showers over the last few days. The heavy downpours have caused mounds of soil and rocks to fall across the Udupussalawa road. Our correspondent reported that one traffic lane on the road has been closed off completely. This move comes as there is a threat of earth embankments collapsing onto the road. The police has requested the public to exercise caution when travelling along the Udupussalawa road. The adit to an ancient mine had collapsed due to heavy rains in the Bopiti area in Warakapula. Locals say that the adit, which serves as an entrance to a mine, had been abandoned about 50 years ago. One house had been damaged following the collapse of the adit. 2 families had been evacuated to safe locations as well. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology has forecast showers exceeding 75 millimeters in the Gaul, Mathura, Nuwara and Kandy districts. In its weather forecast, the department said that showers or thunder showers may occur in the over and eastern provinces, along with the Mullaitivu district during the evening or at night. The public has been kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Meanwhile, the weather forecast notes that the wind speeds in the seas from Gaul to Pottuville through Hambantota and from Puttalam to Kankasantore through Mana will range between 50 and 60 kilometers per hour. It cautions that strong waves would persist in the seas from Gaul to Pottuville through Hambantota.
A tusker has died after consuming an elephant cracker in Kantale.
The tusker has been spotted in the Kantale 95 and 96 areas in the recent days. It was during this period that the tusker had consumed crackers, eventually leading to its tragic demise. Locals say that the elephant had not been treated for about 2 weeks for its injuries.
The
tusker has been indicating that it required treatment and that it would not consume food. It was experiencing agony. As a result, it could only consume small food items. Wildlife officers from Kantale and Giritale had begun treating the tusker for its wounds yesterday, but the majestic creature breathed its last a few hours later at the age of 35.
In one of your headline-making story, the Victoria Reservoir, one of the largest and eye-catching bodies of water in Sri Lanka, is currently facing a severe threat of plastic pollution as a result of garbage being disposed into the reservoir.
The Victoria Reservoir is situated surrounding the Victoria Ranthanigala Ranthabe Sanctuary, which is considered the largest sanctuary in Sri Lanka. At present, discarding of waste material in these areas has led to serious environmental destruction. Locals point out that the crisis has deepened further as a result of plastic and polythene waste flowing into the reservoir. Environmentalists have raised red flags on several ramifications on multiple fronts, including environmental, social, economic and health spheres, if pollution persists further.
කොයි විදිහ අපද්‍රව්‍ය එක්ක මේ පොලිතින් තිබුණත් අවසානයේ මේ පාවෙන සුළු නිසා ජලයත් එක්ක ඉක්මනට ගහගෙන ගිහිල්ලා.
No matter what sort of waste polythene is mixed with, since it floats, it will eventually make its way to our rivers and then our reservoirs. Since dams have been constructed disrupting the flow of water in reservoirs, polythene cannot flow down any further. This needs to be controlled. The best way to do is recycle. If responsible corporations carry out recycling processes properly, this would not occur. The main reason for this issue is our people's ignorant behavior. They need to be controlled through government legislation.
Control කරන්න ඕන control කරලා මේ ජලාශවලට මේ පොලිතීන් ද්‍රව්‍ය අනේක නතර කරන්න ඕන.
In your sports news, the 24-man Sri Lanka team touring England departed the island earlier this morning. The squad also includes Nuwan Pradeep, Avishka Fernando, Oshada Fernando, Charit Asalanka and Dhananjay Lakshan. Sri Lanka Cricket, issuing a media advisory, noted the squad was approved by the Minister of Sports. Meanwhile, the 3-match T20 series between Sri Lanka and England is set to commence on the 23rd of this month. The one-day series, which consists of 3 ODIs, will commence on the 29th. We leave you this afternoon with visuals of a herd of Asian elephants wandering in the streets of China. It was reported on foreign media that this is the longest recorded migration of elephants in China. For the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I am Martin Satyines, and you take care and stay safe.
The animals have been trekking the country for about 15 months in an extraordinary 500-kilometer trip away from their natural habitat. Authorities are closely monitoring their migration as the elephants roam through fields, villages and cities. The local government has deployed 500 people to keep the herd safe, close roads and try to steer the elephants to the southwest. Previous efforts to turn them around have failed, but the herd seems to be turning back and heading home. There are 15 elephants in the herd, including 3 calves. The herd was seen resting near a village after heavy rains slowed down its travels.